Hi everyone, I'm Caroline Vazzana and welcome to the Making It in Manhattan podcast. I cannot believe that I'm actually saying that because this podcast has been a dream of mine for the longest time. Here we will talk about career advice, how to break into the fashion industry, how to get invited to Fashion Week, how to find your personal sense of style, and so much more. For those of you that might not know me already, my name's Caroline Vazzana. You can find me everywhere at Vazzana, and I have a very colorful, eclectic style. I started my career in the editorial world at both Teen Vogue and InStyle, and now I'm an author. I wrote a book called Making It in Manhattan, which is a beginner's guide to breaking into the fashion industry. I'm a stylist as well as a fashion influencer on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Pinterest, and I'm so excited to finally be taking all that I've learned in this industry and bringing it into one place into this podcast for you. Each week, we will dive into a bunch of different topics, but for this week's episode, it's kind of our intro episode. So we're going to get to know each other. I'm going to be talking about my background and how I started in this industry. Then I'm going to go into a story from my childhood that really put me on a path to finding who I am in terms of my style. And then we're going to talk about how you can find your personal sense of style and so much more. So let's get started. For today's episode, we're just going to do a little bit of an intro, what the Making It in Manhattan podcast is going to be about, what we're going to talk about, and this is going to be a journey together because I've never done a podcast before. If you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, you just know me for my colorful, eclectic style and crazy closet. So podcasting is new to me. So I started my career in the editorial world. I worked at Teen Vogue and I worked at InStyle before branching out on my own, becoming my own boss, and building my brand as we know it today. In the podcast, I want to talk about how to break into the fashion industry, how to find your personal sense of style, how to get invited to Fashion Week, even if you're just starting out, and so much more. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about. And we might even have some special guests here and there. There's a lot to look forward to here. So for the structure of today's episode, I'm doing a little intro, and then I'm going to share a story with you guys, a story from when I was in 6th grade. So I'm thinking I was maybe like 11 years old, but I think it's important to share where we came from, how we got to where we are, because I didn't just wake up one day, have a super fun, eclectic sense of style, and was definitely not always confident in who I am. Every week, I will answer a question that you guys can submit via Instagram or TikTok or via email if you're feeling like it. And I'll just share some of my words of wisdom and advice. So just to tell you guys a little bit more about me, if you're new to following me or have never heard of me before, my name's Caroline Vazzana. I grew up in New York. I went to college in Pennsylvania. I went to a small liberal arts school in what I like to call the middle of nowhere. I went in studying fashion design because I thought I wanted to be a fashion designer like every other girl or guy who owned a pair of scissors back in 2010. We all were obsessed with Project Runway. I went into college, quickly discovered that I didn't really love fashion design, but I still loved the fashion industry and knew that fashion was where I belonged. So how do you learn more about the fashion industry while still being in college? Interning. Internships was the way that I learned the ins and outs of absolutely everything. My first internship was with fashion designer Anna Sui in her production department, and my next internship was at Marie Claire magazine. Marie Claire magazine was an amazing internship because I got to intern in the fashion closet, and it was kind of my first Devil Wears Prada experience. It was a lot of, schlepping heavy garment bags around the city, super late nights, meeting, editors and designers and stylists and people you've only, dreamed about. And I was kind of like a fly on the wall through it all. I kind of like to say as an intern, you're just kind of there. You're there to help out, do whatever needs to be done, and you're just happy to do it. So during that experience, I learned a lot about the fashion industry and editorial and decided that's where I wanted to go with my career, was down the editorial path of things. And then social media became a thing a few years later, and that's kind of where I found myself in terms of building my brand outside of a company and on my own. And the word influencer didn't even exist at the time. It was only blogger, and I did not think I was a blogger. I felt like being a blogger just meant snapping a quick photo of your outfit, tagging the brands, and not really having a lot of substance to it. And I wanted to do something to help others, to teach them, you don't need to dress like everybody else to fit in and to be successful. You don't need to be like everyone else to be successful. You don't need to come from some big, high-ranking fashion family. You don't need to have a lot of connections to break into the fashion industry. You can just, be a little girl whose parents, my dad is a doctor and my mom, she was a stay-at-home mom. She helped my dad with his practice for a little while, but they didn't have any connections in fashion. I was really on my own when it came to wanting to break into the fashion industry. And I was blessed that they were so supportive, but it's not like they were able to give me connections and contacts. So when it came to doing that, I really had to hit the pavement, reach out to people, find emails through Google. Instagram and LinkedIn wasn't even like a thing that you could use to get contacts. You really had to be kind of crafty about it in a way. I feel like in a future episode, we need to talk about how I got my very first internship and how I actually got those contacts and connections, because I emailed 50 people, I'm not even kidding, 50 companies, and heard back from 2 before I got a yes or an interview or anything like that. So, now that I've rambled a little bit and talked to you guys about how I started out, I eventually went out on my own and decided to build my brand and start writing a book called Making It in Manhattan. And Making It in Manhattan was essentially a journal in a way. It was a way for me to just remember everything I was experiencing, everything I was learning, all the amazing people I was meeting, and things that I had just only dreamed about doing were happening around me faster than I could even keep track of. So when I was working at InStyle magazine, that's where I first got the idea that, maybe I should be writing these things down because I'm going to forget them. And I never want to forget all of the things I'm accomplishing and the things I'm doing. And at the time, they were little things. They were things I had just graduated, but at, 21, 22 years old, these were things that were a big deal and are a big deal to others trying to break into the industry. I felt like there was a lot of books that were like memoirs written by people who had been wildly successful in their careers for years and years. And it was almost unrelatable for people who were young and first starting out in the industry. There was no books written by someone who was a lot younger for someone who was young, and just wanted the bare minimum of how to land an internship, how to write an email to someone you're trying to reach out to for an internship, how to network on Instagram and on social media in a professional way. Because obviously social media and Instagram, it's like more of a laid back app, but you can use Instagram to network and to meet people and to potentially reach a future employer or a future boss. So I wanted to use everything that I was learning, all the experiences that I was having, to ultimately inspire and teach others how they could do it as well. If you're someone coming from, not a big fashion city or not a big fashion family and you don't know anyone in this industry, it can feel super scary and like it's not possible. And I wanted to kind of draw back the curtain. I feel like the fashion industry a few years ago, and maybe even still sometimes, has this very you can't sit with us mentality, or like a mean girl mentality, and I'm the complete opposite of that. I wanted to just draw back the curtain, let you in, and be like, you can sit with us, you can sit next to me, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know to break into the industry in just a very fun and relatable way. It doesn't need to feel scary. It doesn't need to feel overwhelming. So that's why I am here now with this podcast. I am your best friend or your best friend's older sister, and I'm here to just hold your hand and guide you through all the ins and outs of how to make it in Manhattan. So now to go into our story for today's episode. To set the scene, I was in 6th grade. And growing up, I went to a private school and I had to wear a uniform all of my life. So from preschool at 4 years old to not even when I graduated 8th grade, all the way up until I graduated my senior year of high school, I wore a uniform, which is surprising because you'd probably be thinking, well, Caroline, like, how did you have any connection to fashion? How did you find your personal style at all? How did you even figure out what you liked and what you didn't like? And the answer is I really didn't, honestly. Growing up, I didn't know what I liked. I wore a uniform every single day. In grammar school, our uniform was like a knee-length skirt, knee-high socks, so you had like this much skin showing. We had a sweater vest and like a little polo shirt, and then in high school we got to wear shorter socks, but they folded over once, and saddle shoes. Like, I'm setting the theme. It was very not chic. There was nothing fashion forward about it, but I think in that and in wearing a uniform every day, it allowed my mind to almost like wander in a sense of where I could be or what I could be wearing or like what do people wear. Like, it kind of like got my brain thinking in a way. So occasionally we had what we called dress down days. If you went to a private school, you were probably nodding your head being like, okay, yes, dress down days. So anytime we had a dress down day, I was thrilled. I would prepare my outfit like weeks in advance. I would take out, I didn't even own that much clothing because I didn't need that much clothing because I would be wearing a uniform all the time. And I would just plan out whatever it might be. So anyway, this story I'm telling you, I was in 6th grade. And of course, like all schools, there were cliques. And I was definitely not popular. But as you assume, I don't know. But I was definitely not in the popular girl clique. But I did go to a small school, so like everyone was still friendly to each other. And so with that being said, when birthday parties came about, you just invited the whole class. So with that being said, one of the popular girls was having her birthday party, and I was invited, and I was so excited that I was going to get to dress up. Like, that was really the highlight for me, was that I was going to get to wear something that I thought was really cool. So I'd remembered like the last birthday party I went to, I took note, like a mental note of what everyone else was wearing. And so everyone else was wearing, if you guys remember the brand BB, I don't know if it's still around, but the BB t-shirts with like the rhinestone BB across the front, little denim skirts. This was probably 2004 maybe, because I graduated 8th grade in 2006. So somewhere between 2003, 2004 vibes. And then the Puma sneakers, I don't know if anyone remembers these. They were black and white Puma sneakers that Velcroed, and they were like flat. There was no arch, and the Velcro like crisscrossed almost across the front. So that's what everyone had worn to like the previous birthday party. And so I was like, okay, Mom, like I need this outfit, this particular outfit, because I want to like fit in with everybody. I want to be quote unquote cool, and I want everyone to like me. Of course, you're in 6th grade. Come on, like that's where we are at in developmental mind states of like, I just want to be like everybody else. So my mom was a saint, and obviously like she didn't buy me that much clothing because I didn't need a lot of clothing. So she was like, okay, like this will be like a splurge. We'll go to the mall and we'll pick you out like a really nice outfit for the birthday party. So she took me to BB. She like bought me a BB t-shirt, and I was like so excited. Literally, I feel like that was probably in my memory one of my first quote unquote designer purchases, and I treasured that thing. I probably still have it somewhere. I'm not even kidding. And like I got the Puma sneakers, I got the denim skirt maybe from like Delia's or something, and I thought my outfit was like it. I was so excited for this birthday party. I probably straightened my hair, put on some lip gloss, like just, went all out. So the day comes and my mom's so excited. She drops me off. I'm like setting the scene. I'm so cool. 6th grade. My mom's like, okay, pick you up in a few hours. Have fun. But it's interesting, looking back, and just to go off on a side note, I think it's so important that my mom, and for you, it could be a mom, it could be a big sister, it could be a grandma, it could be an aunt. My mom didn't look at me and say, no, this is dumb. She looked at me and she said, okay, this means a lot to you. This clothing means a lot to you in this outfit and this want to find yourself and express yourself through clothing, it meant a lot. And she gave me the ability to explore that rather than shutting it down. And so just to go on a side note, for me and myself as I get older and, I even knowing the responsibility of having a community and everything, like, I just want to encourage you guys, like, explore, try things out. Nothing is dumb or stupid. And if a piece of clothing is going to make you as happy as, 11 or 12-year-old me with that BB t-shirt, like, get the item and wear it and explore and try. And that's what fashion's all about. It's about fantasy, and it's about feeling, and it's about escaping your life almost through what you're wearing. So I just wanted to offer that as a side note of, like, my mom and my dad were both just, like, so supportive of everything I wanted to do, because I was the only person in my family who was more creative minded. Both of my sisters are now doctors and my brother's a teacher. So I always say, like, someone had to be, like, the black sheep / like the unicorn of the family. I feel like black sheep has a bad connotation, and my family, like, definitely didn't make me feel like, oh, black sheep, but I definitely was the different one of the family for sure, and was always, like, in my room, like, drawing and painting and cutting up, like, old clothing and dresses that my mom obviously gave me the okay to. I wasn't just cutting up random stuff, but I was, like, cutting up old dresses I had and trying to make them into something new. So I was always the different one of the family, and my parents really let me explore that. So just something to keep in mind, like, it's so important to surround yourself, even, if you're listening to this and you're 18 or you're 25, like, surrounding yourself with good, amazing friends and even just, like, a supportive network and a supportive partner as you go about in life is really so, so important to your just, like, development as a person as well. So anyway, to get back to the story, because I'm sure you're dying to hear what happens when I show up at this party. So I show up at the party, I strut my stuff in my little outfit, and my jaw literally and figuratively hits the floor, and my heart, like, sinks. And all the other girls are no longer in this, like, BB era outfit. All the girls were now wearing, I can remember it to this day, capris, either, like, denim capris or just, like, khaki, like, nude capris, peasanty, like, flowy printed tank top blouses, and wedges. Every girl. And I'm like, how did I miss this? Like, how did I miss this memo? Like, why didn't I know that, I guess, like, this outfit's done and everyone's on to the next thing? So I wasn't, like, devastated to the point where I was like, oh my God, I need to leave or anything. But I was just, like, devastated mentally and emotionally, because I thought I'd really hit the nail on the head with this outfit. Like, I thought that this was really something. And to my surprise, I learned, like, I just wasn't on the ball with, I guess, what was, like, new or in or whatever it was, or they just all kind of, like, talked and were like, this is what we're all wearing kind of vibe. So, and I can remember, like, looking at myself in the party, because it was at, like, a hall type place, and there was, like, mirrored walls, and I was like, I feel like my outfit looked so good, but now I feel so bad because I'm not wearing what everyone else is wearing. So anyway, aside from that, the party goes on fine. At the end of the night, my mom comes and she picks me up, and she's so excited. She's like, how did it go? What did everyone think of the outfit? And I said to her, and I can remember her laughing because I was in 6th grade, and I guess it was just, like, something funny for me to say, but I was like, I guess I didn't get the memo. And she just starts laughing. She's like, what do you mean you didn't get the memo? I was like, everyone else was in, and I explained it to her, and she was like, I can't believe it. That's so weird. She's like, but you looked great. And, like, that's all that matters. And, like, I think about that story often now as I've, like, developed my platforms and I've developed my brand and I've become this person I am today. And I feel like that was a pivotal moment for me as Caroline Vazzana, as who I am, because it was a moment to realize you don't need to look like everybody else. You don't need to dress like everybody else. As hard as it is, you want to fit in, you want to be cool, You want to wear what everyone else is wearing. And this can be applied to today, to TikTok trends and to Instagram and the viral boot or the viral belt or bag or whatever it might be. You don't need to wear what everyone else is wearing to be stylish, to be fashionable, and to be quote unquote cool. I always say being cool is overrated. I do not want to be cool. After that, I decided I am not cool. I don't want to be cool. I just want to be me, and I want to find out who I am. So after that was really an awakening of wanting to find out who I was, both just as a person. I didn't want to be a carbon copy of just every other girl in my school. And I also wanted to find out who I was stylistically, fashionably. I wanted to find my fashion DNA, essentially. At 6th grade, I was like, well, what is stylish then? What do I personally think looks good and is cool? And I will say from that moment on, it still took years to figure that out because I was still in my days of uniforms and still wearing a uniform every day. It wasn't the next day my mom took me to the mall and we then bought flowy peasant tops and capris. No, she was she was supportive of me feeling upset about whatever happened, but it wasn't also okay, now let's go buy what everybody else has. That essentially wasn't the life lesson she was teaching me. The life lesson was, well, who cares what they're wearing, kind of. And I think that was a beautiful lesson, and that was so important to keep in mind just as I move forward and become who I am. So my little making it a Manhattan tip this week is don't be afraid to stand out. I feel it's very cliche. They always say be a flamingo in a flock full of pigeons, but I feel that is in my soul, ingrained in my DNA and who I am, because I love wearing color and I love wearing bright, bold things. And very, very often I am one of the only people wearing color at an event I'm at, in a new city I'm visiting, at, a family function. I'm usually the only person wearing color. I even went to a wedding this weekend, funny enough, and I wore a bright yellow dress. I loved the dress. I thought it looked great. But I can remember literally being at the church at the ceremony, and I looked forward, and everyone was wearing black in front of me. I'm not even kidding. And I was shocked because I was this is insane. It's a wedding. It's not a funeral. So I've just had to kind of readjust myself to be it's okay to stand out. Don't be afraid to stand out, because also with fashion, and this is something you'll see once you start wearing color and experimenting, fashion is a conversation starter. If you're wearing something fun, people will instantly come up to you and want to talk to you, no matter where you are, what you're doing. And it's so nice sometimes, if you're walking into a room and you don't know anyone and you're a little bit shy, because I always say I'm actually an introverted extrovert. So I struggle with anxiety. I get very shy sometimes at events, and I get nervous talking to people. But when I'm wearing a colorful outfit, I feel people start coming up to me to say hi because they want to, where's that jacket from? Where's those shoes from? XYZ. So it's a great icebreaker. So just always keep that in mind. But don't be afraid to try out different things. Experiment with fashion. Find what you love and what you feel confident in, not what other people are telling you should feel confident in and stylish in. And don't just follow trends and what everyone else is doing or what the new viral sensation is. I think it's fun sometimes, don't get me wrong. If there's a viral boot going around, I'm maybe I'll buy it, try it out, see how I'll style it into my wardrobe. So I think that's always something to keep in mind, is you can wear what everyone else is wearing, but always put your own spin and your own twist on it, with no matter what you're doing or no matter what you're wearing. So since this is the very, very first episode and we don't have questions from you guys yet, which it would be amazing if every week you guys could send me some questions, because I would love to answer your questions live. I always do Q&As on my Instagram stories, but how fun is it to answer them more live on my podcast? But to kick it off, a commonly asked question is, of course, how to find your personal sense of style. And we could do a full episode about this because it's a topic I'm obviously very passionate about and have been passionate about since 6th grade, since I had that fashion faux pas at that B-Day party. But I think there's a lot I could tell you guys. First of all, you don't need to go out and like go buy a million new things to be stylish. Take inventory of what you already have in your closet and challenge yourself to pair things together in different and unique ways that might not be super expected. I joke, I wear the same pieces over and over again, but I don't want to say never, but I rarely ever wear the same outfit twice. So when I'm saying outfit, I'm talking the head to toe same exact thing. I rarely ever do it twice, but I will wear the same pieces over and over and over again. And that's the beauty of fashion. It's about challenging yourself to style things in different and fun and unique ways. And then if you are going to go shopping, look for pieces that you love. See what you gravitate towards. Walk into a store and just what catches your eye. I love looking into a rack of clothing and like picking out the sequins or picking out like the brightest thing on the rack and pulling it out and being like, first of all, do I have anything like this? How do I see myself styling this? Do I envision myself wearing this a lot? And then challenge yourself to style it over and over again in different and fun and unique ways. There's no rules when it comes to fashion, and that's the beauty of it. I think one of the biggest tips I tell people when it comes to finding your personal sense of style is that it starts with confidence. Like, it's not even about the clothing at first, and it's not even about what you're wearing and how you're wearing it. It starts internally in here in your heart, because we're brought up, as we just talked about, thinking we need to look a certain way, we need to wear a certain thing, we need to fit in. So we need to go through years of programming and like essentially reprogram our brains, all of us, to tell ourselves, you know what, like, I don't care what other people think. I don't care if other people don't like my outfit. I don't care if, I might get some hate comments online if other people don't like what I'm wearing. You need to reprogram yourself to essentially say, I don't care what other people think. This is who I am. This is what I love. And this is what I stand for. And I think that's really hard. So that takes time. That takes years to build that confidence. But then also, like, the flip side of that is that no one's really thinking about you or judging you. I think, again, we sometimes get so in our heads, like, did I say something embarrassing? Did I make a fool of myself at this event? Did I do X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 whatever it is. And you go back in your mind, you're thinking about it, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed about what I wore, what I said, what I did, that I tripped this one time in front of a million people, whatever it might be. But the thing is, no one's really thinking about you or judging you. Like, a week from now, no one's sitting down being like, oh, remember when Caroline tripped at that event? No one's thinking about it. And if they are, those are the kind of people I don't want in my life anyway. So once you can kind of like move past that thought of, okay, who cares what others think, number one. But number two, like, no one's really sitting down and judging you and thinking about you incessantly, being like, remember the time Caroline wore cheetah print and florals? Oh my gosh, I hated it. No one's thinking about that. So once you can get past that, I think it'll make it so much easier to really experiment with fashion, push boundaries, push your limits, and just like have fun with fashion. Life is too short to save the fun pieces in the back of your closet for a rainy day. People have something fun and sequensy and they're like, oh, but I'm going to save it. I'll save it for like a birthday party or, whatever, a vacation or whatever. Today is the day. Today's the day. Go into the back of your closet, think to yourself, what would Caroline do? And I would pull out the sparkles, the tulle, and like your most loud piece, and I would wear it today because life's too short. And then my last piece of advice in terms of just, finding your personal sense of style, look at photos online or to social media for inspiration. If you're having a day where you're just like, I have no idea what to wear. I'm so stumped. I'm so uninspired. I don't like anything I have right now. I even have days like that. Go to social media, open it, go on your explore page. Don't even like look at your following. Look at your explore page and just scroll. And like, you never know who you'll find, what'll pop up, what'll just like spark a wave of creativity. It could literally be like a picture of a cat wearing a beret. Like, I don't even know, but it could be the most random thing that essentially sparks you into a whole direction for an outfit. And that's the beauty of social media and fashion. So that is a wrap on our first Making It in Manhattan episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I had a great time chatting with you guys, and I can't wait to be back with more episodes each week. Comment on the @MakingItInManhattan Instagram or send us a DM to submit your questions or topics you want me to talk about each week. Leave us a comment or a review. As I said, I'm figuring out this whole podcasting thing, so I am so excited to hear what you guys think and to just see your feedback. And I will be back with you next week for another episode. Bye!